Heyo, what's up, guys? It's Matt Modi with OddsJam, and today I'll be doing a Monday Night Football preview. Of course, we have another primetime game that is just getting absolutely ravaged by COVID. So the two biggest names for the Saints that are out are their top two quarterbacks. So they're missing Trevor Siemian and Taysom Hill, which means that they are starting Ian Book at quarterback, their third-string quarterback, who I believe was just called off the practice squad. Those of you college football fans might remember Ian Book as a Notre Dame quarterback. Felt like he was there forever. Obviously, he hasn't taken a snap as an NFL quarterback. We've seen a couple teams now be out their top two quarterbacks, and we haven't seen them fare well. We've been giving them a farewell, if you know what I mean. That was the Washington football team who got smoked by the Eagles. Lost by 10, not necessarily smoked, but lost considerably, easily. And the game before that, on Monday night last week, we had the Browns out Case Keenum and Baker Mayfield. Made it a little bit of a closer game than we were expecting, but still ended up losing. So with that, you'll see the lines have shifted pretty dramatically towards the Dolphins. We'll get to the total in a little bit. That is where you've really seen the shift. So right now, the OddsJam perfect line has the Dolphins at minus 163 and the Saints at plus 146. There's a little bit of difference between the perfect line and the best odds you can get. Not a lot. Really, the only big difference, I wouldn't even say big, is between the 3 points between the Dolphins minus 160 and perfect line at minus 163. For me, this screams Dolphins win. I mean, it doesn't seem too difficult of logic to fade the team that is out their top two quarterbacks. And a Dolphins team that has won 6 straight. Granted, they haven't won against anybody good. So if we look at the Dolphins' schedule, they started 1-7, and they won 6 straight to now go to 7-7. But look at the teams that they've beaten during that stretch. Texans starting Tyrod Taylor. Ravens, that was a good win. That was the one good win they had in that stretch. We won't take that away. Jets starting Zach Wilson. Panthers starting Cam Newton. Giants starting, I believe, this was after Daniel Jones got hurt. So they were starting, Mike Glennon, who's been benched for Jake Fromm. Then they beat the Zach Wilson again, and now they play Ian Book. So they haven't really beaten a good team, but they haven't had to play a good team aside from that Ravens win. That was a legitimately good win. So they've shown that all you really need to do in a situation like this is show that you can beat the bad teams, which is what the Dolphins have shown the past 6 weeks, or 6 games, I should say. I mean, they have some bad losses prior to that to the Falcons and to the Jaguars, but they've seemed to have right the ship from there. So getting them at minus 160, it's within my limit for the lock, which I cap at minus 200. So my biggest play of the night, I'm going to just take the Dolphins money line at minus 160. That's going to be my huge play. I mean, normally I have them $100 plays. I might make that a little more because I'm going to sprinkle some on later on some other stuff. So I want to make sure that as long as the Dolphins win, that I profit. So I'll make this. I'm gonna double it and make this a $200 play. So, excuse me. That'll be I'm going to make that my biggest play of the night. $200 on the Dolphins money line. I just a team that's won 6 straight. I wouldn't say they've looked phenomenal doing so, but they beat up on bad teams. And the Saints, like I said, are out their top 2 quarterbacks. The Saints are also out a lot of players on defense. So starting safety Malcolm Jenkins, Eagles legend, is out. Starting linebacker Demario Davis is out. And starting defensive end Marcus Davenport is out. And the Dolphins are relatively healthy. I believe the biggest name that's out for them, who is also out for the season, is Will Fuller, who's just kind of had a lost season. So and the Saints are also out their left tackle. Forgot to mention that. So I can see this being a game where the Saints have a creative first drive where Sean Payton scripts a good 15 plays and the Saints have a good drive when everyone's like, oh, no, maybe it won't be that bad. And then it'll settle down from there. So maybe if there's like a first quarter line, depending on what it is, and maybe I'll sprinkle some on that for the Saints because I can. And the Dolphins are also notoriously start slow. If you remember this game against the Jets last week, the Jets put up, they went up 10-0, and then they went up 17-10, and then the Dolphins pretty much took it from there. So the Dolphins have been starting slow, and I think that the Saints are being a little bit overvalued after their win last week against the Bucs, shutting them out. Legitimately, really, impressive win, especially defensively. Obviously, shutting out Tom Brady. But the Saints have also had some bad losses. I mean, they've gotten smoked by the Eagles. They lost to the Panthers earlier in the year. If you look at their schedule, they've also had some bad losses. And they're headlined by three really good wins if you include week 1. Really good win against the Packers. Then they had a bad loss against the Panthers. They lost to the Giants, which is just absolutely disgusting. They lost to the Falcons. They got blown out by the Eagles. And then beating the Jets isn't that big of a deal. And then legitimately impressive win against the Bucs. But I think they're being overvalued because that just happened last week. And the Saints haven't exactly shown that they're the juggernaut that we're used to seeing. So Dolphins money line, $200, my favorite play of the night. Moving on. Point spread, there it looks like, I believe I looked at this earlier. There is some value. So right now the Dolphins are hovering between -3.5 and -3. A little bit of difference in the OddsJam perfect line if you get them at -3 on Barstool and Bet Rivers. I'm actually going to buy that extra half point and get them at -2.5. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit more on that because the odds are a little better. So the OddsJam perfect line has them at -135. We are getting that at -122 on Bet Rivers and Barstool and also Unibet. I'm going to use Unibet because why not? So that's going to be a $75 play. Just want to make sure that as long as the Dolphins win, I still profit. But I love kind of loading multiple positive value lines in a situation like this. So 75 will be on the Dolphins, -2.5. The total, so since the news about the Saints, the total has been bet down so much that right now it's at 37. In a situation like this, obviously there really isn't any positive value on the under. So if you look, the OddsJam perfect line is always the best odds for the under. There's a little bit on the over, so -104 to +100 on BetMGM. I'm not super confident in this game going over, but 37.5 is just such a low number that Vegas is almost begging you to take the over in that. And getting it at plus money, so plus 100, I might put a little bit on that. I might make that a $50 play. I'm not super confident in that. Like I said, my number one play is going to be the Dolphins money line, but getting a total that's so low, I could just see it being a game where, like I said, the Saints start a little bit hot. They might score a touchdown on their first drive. The Dolphins start slow and come on late, and then maybe a garbage time touchdown to hit this over. But I'm not super confident in it, so it's just going to be a $50 play. At plus 100, not a big deal. And that gives my total 125, taking away the Dolphins money line. So I said I would check out the first quarter. Let's check out first quarter point spread. So nothing great. I mean, you can get the Saints. I guess that's just money line. No really great odds there. I mean, -150, -167. First quarter money line, plus 115. Nothing really great there, and there's no positive expected value to compare it to. So let's move on there. So now let's look at if there are any positive EV plays. Last I checked, there were a couple. My favorite one is this Devontae Parker under 50.5. So, and I also like this Nick Vannett over 23.5. So let's start with the Nick Vannett one first, because he obviously has higher positive expected value. So first things first, it's within the market width, so only 6 points there, so that's good. I love getting plays where the OddsJam perfect line is minus money. We're getting it at plus money, so getting it at plus 108 on FanDuel is good. I like that. That is plus money. And if you look at Nick Vannett's stats, so he is the starting tight end for the Saints. He doesn't have a huge. I mean, look, he's only played in what? This would be his sixth game. The total we're getting him at is 23.5. He's gone over that 2 out of his last 3 games. Last week he was totally shut out, only 1 target. But I like the logic of taking his over 23.5. in a game where the third string quarterback is playing, because generally the tight end is the safety blanket depending on how they're used, and in this case Nick Vannett is used as the safety blanket, so his snap percentage has kind of been hovering obviously in the teens, and 20 is only the highest he got. I would expect that to be a little bit higher, but I'd expect that him to get at least some targets. Not expecting a huge game from him, but 23.5 is not a lot. And let's just refresh this, make sure nothing's changed. I mean, my Kelly Criterion calculator is telling me to put 25 on it, so that's what I'll do. I'll put 25 on it. I'm not going to put a ton, but I do like the play. And then this Devontae Parker under I also really like. So let's like that one's telling me to put 23 on it. So I'll just put another 25 to make it even. And the reason why I like this one is mostly the Marshawn Lattimore effect. So if you look at Devontae, I spelled that wrong, but that's all right. If you look at his stats, is what I meant to do. He's had some good games recently, but he started slow, and then as the Dolphins season came on, he missed some time in the earlier. He looks like he missed all of November. He's actually had a better season than I thought. So we are getting that at 50.5, and it looks like every game he's played, he's gone over that except for twice. So I might actually change my mind, and this one might actually be a no touch for me, because like I said, the reason why I liked it was because of the Marshawn Lattimore effect. But looking at Devontae Parker's stats more, he's actually had a better season than I originally thought. So he's consistently getting close to double-digit targets. Looks like the lowest he had was the Giants when he went 5 for 5, but he still hit the over, and he caught all those targets. So granted, Jalen Waddle missed some of those games, but for someone getting as many targets as he is, hitting 50 yards isn't a lot. Marshawn Lattimore generally is the one. He's famous for shutting down Mike Evans. And I would imagine that he probably will be matched up on Devontae Parker, because that's where the matchup is. But I don't think he's going to shadow him like he does with Mike Evans. So I'm actually that one's actually going to be a no touch for me. And looks like there's another one, Marquez Callaway over 35.5 receiving yards. Looks like this one's telling me to put $20 on it. This one's actually going to be another no touch for me. I'm going to stick with Nick Vannett over 23.5 as my only positive EV play of the game. Obviously, as you can see, there's about 5 here. So if people were more confident in them than I am, by all means. The two of them, the receiving yards for Gesicki and the interceptions, don't fit the market with. So what's that, 47 there and 35 there, whereas the other 3 do. So they're not bad plays in that regard. But if it were up to me, in this case, I'm just going to stick with the Nick Vannett one. I don't want to totally load this game, and it's going to be a boring game. Taking 2 overs and 1 under, and the under being a player that's consistently performed well this season. So as far as my plays for the day, it's going to be $200 on the Dolphins money line at -160, $75 on the Dolphins -2.5 at -122, $50 on the over 37.5 at +100 on BetMGM, and $25 on the Nick Vannett over receiving yards. I'll give 2 shout outs to Devontae Parker under 50.5 receiving yards +105 on Caesar, and Marquez Callaway over 35.5 +105 on PointsBet. Looks like this one actually changed to 35, so maybe I'll put an additional 10 on this one to match it. Looks like the odds changed. And those are going to be my 3 official plays and 2 bonus ones. So I have a screenshot of everything at the end of the video so you can see. And that's all I got for you. So unfortunately, a primetime game that doesn't figure to be too exciting. Maybe we'll get some madness, some excitement from Ian Book, and maybe some turnovers for the Dolphins defense. And if anybody is waiting to get to see the results of this game to get in the fantasy championship, I wish you luck. And that's all I got for you. So make sure to follow me on Twitter at my handle below. You can email me, matthew@oddsjam.com, and you can always comment on the videos as well. Other than that, just make sure you rate, review, subscribe to the OddsJam channel, all that good stuff. Sign up for the newsletter. at oddsjam.com. And that's all I got for you. So happy betting, happy watching, and good luck, everybody.